Yo, what's up everyone? It's Daikenstein here, ready to bring you another Genshin Impact video, and today we are talking about the stamina system within Genshin Impact, and that is going to be called your Resin. Now, Resin, as I said, is your stamina system, and there's a bunch of places you can use it. I get a lot of questions about where should you use it, how should you use it, when should you use it, and a lot of people have stipulations about it even being in the game, but I'm here to clarify all of that right now, all in one video. So let's go ahead and get started on that. Alright, so as I stated, Resin is going to be energy in the game. Now there's a bunch of places you can use it, but it's not used everywhere. Everything as far as the story goes, as far as just basic exploration, those things do not take the energy source within the game. What do take the energy is going to be farming certain things inside the game. So farming your dungeons, what are called domains and stuff, farming those, farming bosses, those are going to be the things that actually take your Resin, and your ley lines, of course. So keep that in mind, that not everything inside the game is actually going to use the stamina system. So you can actually play this game from the sun up to the sun down as far as certain aspects go, but when you have to use your Resin, just keep that in mind that you will have to use that for certain parts of this game. So I believe around Venture Rank 8 is actually when you unlock your ley lines. This is when you're going to be able to use your stamina with inside the game. So basically, once you unlock ley lines, you want to use your stamina because you don't want to sit on full stamina inside of this game. That's because there's going to be less opportunities for you to actually regenerate it, which it could be regenerating as is already used, and that's going to be less adventure rank experience, less opportunities for you to get more materials and stuff of that nature. So the next question for us to actually answer is, what should you be using it on? So at the early levels in the game, you're going to be wanting to use it on the ley lines, like I was saying. Now the ones you're going to specifically probably be using the most at the early levels is probably the experience tickets. You're not really going to be having a shortage of more at the beginning of the game, and there's other things you can do in order to get more early inside the game as well, such as like some good chests that give you like some extra bonuses and stuff. But you're really going to want to get those experience tickets right here. Now this is going to change depending on your world level. So as your world level increase, the amount of rewards you get here will increase. Now, not your adventure rank and not the friendship experience, but the experience tickets and the amount of mora that you get within your ley lines are going to be the things that actually change as your world level increase. Now, around adventure rank 20 is when things are going to start changing, because at that point, you're going to have access to your first world level, and you're going to be able to extend your characters to the next level. That means you're going to be able to get from 20 to 40, and you're going to have enough experience tickets if you've been farming these right to actually get your characters right where you want them to be. And at that point, you're going to be able to start farming some of these bosses. Now these bosses right here, you're going to want to start farming these, because at that point your next ascensions are going to be taking some of these materials. You're going to need these character level up materials through some of these bosses. So you're going to need to be able to fight some of these hypostasis. You're going to be able to fight some of these flowers right here, these Regis vines. So you're going to be able to fight these. You're going to need to be able to fight some of these bosses so you can get these materials for your next ascension. So that's going to be very important, and it's going to be a good early opportunity for you to start learning these bosses at an early level rather than fighting them later, where they're going to be much stronger and harder to defeat. Now around this time is when you need to start thinking about what characters and weapons you're really going to be on your permanent first main team, because this is the time where you're going to start looking at talent and weapon ascension materials. So you're going to have talent materials as you can see here, but there's also going to be ones for weapons and stuff too that you got to keep in mind when it comes to those. So these are the weapons one, and then you have the talent ones. They're going to be over here. They're going to look a little bit different. You got to start thinking about these, and you want to make sure you start to understand that these go live on different days. So you got to see, like right here, Monday to Thursday, Tuesday to Friday. Sunday is typically when all of this stuff is going to go live for talent materials and weapon ascension materials. So you got to keep that in mind as well when you're using all this, but make sure that you're using your Resin on something. You need to be working on something always for your teams, or just basically trying to ascend your characters, ascend your weapons, ascend your talent materials, something of that nature once you get to this point within the game. One last thing to mention before we talk about the next point is actually when you're actually doing these bosses, and another reason to actually do them is you're going to get opportunities to get some of these rewards, as you can see here. So you're actually going to get opportunities to get some of these higher artifacts. Now it's not a guarantee, it is RNG, and it's going to be harder at the lower world levels, but it is an opportunity, a chance for you to get them, because I don't recommend that you actually go inside of artifact dungeons until a certain point within the game, which we're about to talk about next. Now at adventure rank 30 is where the game starts to have fun, as you're going to have more creativity in your artifact builds, because this is where certain artifacts are going to start opening up to you. As you can see here, these artifacts right here, this set, the Maiden Beloved set, and this other set right here, With Tiny Miracle, I believe you get in the other ones, but you're going to start getting some of these like harder to see sets at the 30 range, and of course at the 35 range you're going to start seeing them a little bit more as well. Now, one thing to keep in mind as well as this is you're going to want to start farming your bosses, and you're going to want to start farming this boss particularly. You're going to want to start doing these bosses every week, at least on the last day. Now, if you're at a low world level, you want to at least wait until the last day. Now, this boss does take a lot of resin. It's going to take you 60. This is a weekly boss, and the boss right here, the Storm Terror, are going to be a weekly boss. So these are going to be two bosses that you can fight only once a week, and then they're going to reset, and they'll have a timer for like when you can get the rewards or whatever. But yeah, you want to make sure you're fighting these bosses, but you want to make sure that your world level is actually high when you do it. So if you could get to world level 2 before you fight the bosses within the first week, that's also really good to do. And like I said, you want to make sure that you keep using your resin in multiple ways to try to level up your characters, to try to get more artifacts, to try to get more Ascension materials in this manner. So just to clarify everything that we talked about so far, at the early levels you're going to start using your ley lines. Most of the ley lines you're going to be using are going to be the ones that are going to give you the experience tickets. Then at the next point, it's going to be up to you what you really want to do. Are you going to start wanting to farm some of these bosses so you can start working on your next Ascension? Do you have a weapon you really want to ascend? You're going to start using those. Is there a character you really want to play? Then you start working on their talent materials to start leveling up their talents. It all depends on what you're looking for at that time, but just keep in mind, you just have to make sure you're using your resin on something. Of course, you're still probably going to need some of the experience tickets, so you have to like cycle that around too. And yeah, make sure you start working on these bosses at least once a week, especially once you get to world level 2. If you can within the first week, that's even better. If you only could get to world level 1, then of course just do the boss at least before the week ends. It's better than nothing than missing out on that week 1 reward. Next thing I want to talk to you guys about is refreshing your resin. Now, there is a way to refresh it, and there's actually 2 ways. We're going to talk about the free way first, and that's with these fragile resins right here. These are going to restore 60 points of your resin. So no matter where it's at, it's going to restore 60, and yes, it can over the cap. It could go over the cap. So just keep that in mind. You can go over the cap if you want to. Don't recommend, just because you're losing out on some of that time that could just be regenerating, but you can do that if you really want to. Now, once you use these, you can use these whenever you feel like it's necessary for you to use them. When you're at that level of, at least I will say at like the AR 20 is when you want to start using these. At that point, you can start making the judgmental decisions of like when to use them. Now, I personally like to wait until I get to around world level like 2 or 3, just to make sure that my reward chances are a little bit higher. But you can start using them at that 20 range too, if you want to start, you know, working on some of that talent material and stuff like that. Maybe you got like 2 characters you're working on that, like, you know, take some of the same materials, and you need a little bit more energy to like make sure you don't miss it for that day. That's totally understandable. You could do that too, you know, making sure that you're getting the stuff done that you need to get done as quickly as possible, so you're not missing out on those days. You can use resin in those manners as well. Now, for my spenders out there, there's another method you can do, and that's actually using Primal Gems. So as you can see right here, I can spend 50 Primal Gems, and that will also replenish 60 original resin. Now, keep in mind, when you do this, this number does go up. So it says I can still replenish up to 6 times a day. So you can replenish up to 6 times. And when you do that every single time, the cost goes up, as you can see right here. The more you replenish in a day, the more the Primal Gems it will cost. So every time that you make it go, every time you do it, the price will go up. So this is not something that free-to-play players are going to want to do. If you're going to be saving those rolls for the characters you want, if you don't really care about progressing that much, this is really good for people who want fast progression, because you're going to be getting a lot of adventure rank experience. You're going to be getting a lot of artifacts, talent materials, and stuff like that really quickly if you're doing this method. But for the free-to-play players, like I said, you probably just want to save your gems, your Primal Gems, for the characters that you really want as a premium currency, and you don't have added it at your disposal like paying players will have. So just keep that in mind, that this is the method mainly that I recommend for people who are going to pay to play the game. And that's pretty much it. I hope that covered everything you need to really know about the resin system in the game. We covered a lot, from like how it works for free to play, how and when you should use it, and stuff like that. If you got any more questions, put them down in the comments below. I'll definitely be trying to check those out and trying to help y'all as much as possible, guys. As always, if you like anything I had to say today, drop me a like. I greatly appreciate it. If you want to hear more from me, follow me on my socials. Also, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you know next video goes live. As always, my name is Daikin, and I'll see y'all next time. Signing out.